I think you've reached this point that I'm at with Star Trek, where I just have checked out. I just said no, not doing it anymore. I can't be bothered. I'm tired of it. I just it doesn't even stir any interest in me. I've moved past that, and I just think, nah, I just don't care anymore.
Have you
No,
guys got a limit on that for Marvel?
yeah, I think there's a limit on everything, Mahler. I mean, I don't know what the number is. It's just when, like, okay, I said what I had to say. They didn't listen, and whatever I have to say will start sounding repetitive if we just keep going through the motions. And I think if you find something new and different to say, something that can either change, or for one, I want to find something good. That's what I want. Okay. But I think the bigger story, quite frankly, is Lord of the Rings. I think that's a much bigger story. I think it's a much different fandom. And I think that's something that could make some change. The Star Wars fandom lost. They lost. Star Trek fandom lost. Doctor Who lost. Marvel, we're losing. Like it's going to be a loss. It's probably going to be a loss, and it sucks. In 2 years, this thing is probably going to turn around. Doctor Who's going to look terrible. I mean, they're making that show on 2018-19 ideals. We don't even exist in that world anymore. We live in a different reality than we did 2 years ago. And people are fed up with a lot of things. And this just hasn't reached people like Russell T Davies and the BBC and the bankers who are running everything right now. That's why they're still, I said it's going to get worse before it gets better. These next 2 years are going to be the worst shit you've ever seen. And then it maybe changes after that. But it needs to fall flat on its face. It can't be just like, oh, we had a big dip second weekend. No, it's got to flop. Eternals flopped. That's good. That's a good thing. We need more Eternals. I think Marvels will flop. I do think that will flop unless they put Galactus in it or some crazy, or introduce the Fantastic Four. But if
Silver
it's just
Surfer, maybe.
Yeah,
I think the Fantastic Four is in the works.
Oh, they're announcing.
They'll be doing that. That's Phase 5, though, isn't it? I mean, like Phase 4, they're kind of just like taking things over. Really, like it's almost like they're just trying to fill the space until they can get to Phase 5.
Phase 4 feels like the ultimate sort of like we're between shows right now. Here's a clown dancing. You're like, what?
Yeah. But to answer your question, Muller, like when will I reach that phase or that stage with Marvel? Like I've already reached it, more or less. Like I'm more like look at it as just an interesting like fucking dissection of how like a great franchise can fall apart. When I see movies like Eternals or Black Widow, like I'm not feeling pissed off about them. I'm not feeling mad. I'm just like, yeah, just look at that. That's what they're making now. Let's point and laugh and break it down for why it's not working.
Like with Star Trek, you've got this level of apathy. I was just curious, do you think you're ever going to hit that with Marvel, where you're just like, I can't be fucked to see the newest Marvel thing?
I'm already there.
I know you are.
I mean, I'm pretty close. Like, if I wasn't doing this to review movies, I probably wouldn't bother. And I know people like one of my good friends, right? Who's fucking like, he will just love anything that Marvel put out normally. It just doesn't care to analyze it too much. It's just like, yeah, bright colors. Yeah, even he's just like, yeah, I'm feeling a bit tapped out with Marvel movies now. I just don't really care that much about them anymore.
You can sense when the apathy comes in with the fandom. Like it's there for Star Wars. Star Wars is just this mighty juggernaut that can survive as a zombie for a while, but you can feel it. Like this giant Vanity Fair article comes out with Kathleen Kennedy, and nobody could give a fuck about it. Like it's crazy. You see, there's always going to be the hardcores. They're always going to be there. The biggest difference is the hardcores used to be the people who carried your franchises through the dark times. And now that they've alienated so many of the hardcores, and now you're relying on the consumer, who is fickle as hell and will be gone, believe me, once they don't feel any FOMO with Star Wars. And that's starting to happen. It's going to take a while to erode, but like it's done. That's what they can't move on from the Skywalker saga. Good luck with that. They had every chance in the world and they didn't do it. It's already like there is no excitement for Star Trek and there hasn't been for a long time. It's an old franchise. If you go to a convention, it looks like a freaking a retirement convention. Yeah, it's just freaking old for old farts like me. Star Wars lost a generation. Comic books lost a generation. Doctor Who was the one exception that had like it scooped up a young generation and then fucked it off immediately here in the States. So yeah, you can feel when the apathy comes in. It's different for everything, but like Lord of the Rings is something that everybody loves, and it's a well-read fandom. And I think no matter what side of the aisle you're on, it's kind of your happy place. And to see that fucked with is gonna like wake up a lot, and it has waked up a lot of new people. And you could just see it. Like when I go after Marvel, I still get a certain percentage of dislikes on my videos. Like it's pretty even. Like I get, with Lord of the Rings stuff, I get barely any. Like it's crazy. I'll have like 42,000 likes to like 100 dislikes. It's like nuts. So it's a total different thing. And I think most people see it as kind of this pure innocent thing that's being fucked with. And they don't see the other properties like that. So
I think you're absolutely right that Lord of the Rings hasn't been tainted yet. So it's like, get the fuck away. They don't trust you at all. Star Wars, Star Trek, the rest of them, Doctor Who is like, oh well, they've been in the dregs for a while. So what's another one to be thrown on the pile? The Lord of the Rings, it hasn't started yet.
I love how this is it. This is our hill that we're all going to die on. Like Lord of the Rings, it's like this far and no fucking further.
I know, it does feel suitable, right? Lord of the Rings is fucking legendary, and has been for so long. It gets referenced every single time, like any of great film franchises come up, or just how to execute grand epic stories. It's like it's always there. It never died. Those films are just fantastic. Obviously, the source material too, and yeah, you have something like because like I know I'm getting more apathetic with Marvel. It's like I kept saying I'll watch Hawkeye. I'll get around to it. It's gonna happen, and then I'm just like, well, there's no point in seeing it now, is there? It's like it's just all over. And like when they release Harkness, Echo, and fucking whatever else they throw out, I'm just be like, I just summarize it to me. But like if I'm being completely honest, I think that if I wasn't doing any of this to talk to people about these things, then Guardians 3 I'd probably watch. Can't say I'd watch much of anything else. Spider-Man.
Yeah, I wouldn't have watched The Eternals. I wouldn't have watched Shang-Chi.
I didn't watch The Eternals.
Well, yeah, there you go. But I mean, I watched it because I knew I was going to review it. But if it wasn't that motivation there, I wouldn't have bothered with it. I don't think.
Same here.
And I think there's more and more movies and shows like that. I've never watched Hawkeye. Probably won't. And I've heard it's like the least bad out of the Marvel TV shows. I just don't give a fuck about watching it.
I think the first one I'm skipping, and it's just because I don't want to like review a little teeny bopper show and like
oh yeah, I know
on a little girl as Miss Marvel.
Yeah, I might give that a miss.
It's gonna be absolute trash, but like I don't know.
You know what you said, Gary, though, about like it's the hardcore fans that carry franchises through like the dry spells or the dark times. Like with Star Wars, you had the original trilogy, and then like basically for 15-20 years you had basically nothing until the new movies came out, the prequels came out. I mean, I know you had like books, video games, that kind of thing, but like nothing really for general audiences. I think it's almost like Disney know that now, that they've lost those hardcore fans that are going to keep a franchise alive while new movies are getting made. And so that's why you're getting all these just disposable TV shows, just stuff that keeps people ticking over, like general audiences. Like, okay, you get through Mandalorian. Okay, a few months later, you'll have Book of Boba Fett. You get through that. Okay, you've got fucking Cassian Andor, or like Rangers of the New Republic, or the next season of Mando, or whatever crap that they throw out. Or Obi-Wan Kenobi. There's always going to be just another thing coming along just to keep you there, just to keep those general audiences interested. And that they know they have to do that now, because if they leave it for a year or two, there's nothing. Everyone's drifted away then.
Yeah, you're right. I just read an article from the Wrap yesterday where they basically said that Disney can no longer rely on Marvel and Star Wars to get subscribers for their streaming service. I couldn't believe that headline. I went, wow. I mean, that's right. We all knew that, but now like people like the Access Media is finally, coming around like the dinosaurs they are. And they brought out some charts, and some of the charts are like everything is tailing off, at the end. Like they'll get a pretty good viewership, decent viewership, not great. And this is based on Parrot Analytics, so it's not all viewership. It's people talking on and using hashtags and stuff. So it's not the most accurate. I think the numbers are way lower, in other words, and they dip off dramatically after 2 weeks. Like people just stop watching the show. That's not what they make these shows for. These shows are for people to watch them all the time. They need to be going back and repeat viewing. Disney's, doesn't have enough for the repeat viewing. A lot of the stuff they had been out there forever. They don't have like really good sitcoms. Maybe they do at Hulu, but I'm just talking about Disney Plus right now. So it's bad. It's really bad. And like they've got nowhere to go with Star Wars, like nowhere to go.
What we're just mentioning is a real thing. The whole like the hardcore fans, like Lord of the Rings has technically been in a dry spell for some time. It's never felt that way because it's just alive and well in all of our hearts. Fucking great content. But you need, as you said, those fans. Like when Mandalorian season 2 finale aired, everyone was over the fucking moon. They were like, "That was incredible, amazing. Gosh, Luke Skywalker, blah blah blah." It's like, how many months did it take before everyone would just be like, "So anyway"?
I don't think it was 2 months when they fired Dina Carano. So that was like a month and a half.
And like, how many people are going to reference that going forward as being one of the greatest things that happened in storytelling? It's like, not many, I don't think. I think once enough time passes, people will just be like, well, I mean, it was a CGI Luke who turned up,
On the plus side, they get a YouTuber a job.
It's the fundamental of like an epic story is that it has a definitive ending. It begins, you've got your action, and then eventually it comes to an end. That's your epic story.
God,
that's what they did with Lord of the Rings. That's why the Peter Jackson trilogy was so fantastic, because it's like it had an excellent beginning. You were invested all the way through, and it came to a excellent, fantastic, poignant ending. Probably about 10 endings in reality, but fine.
A beautiful and necessary 10 endings.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I loved it. I loved every minute. But that was it, and it was done, and that was your epic story right there. But like when you've got things like the MCU or Star Wars now, it's episodic. It's just episodic TV shows. It's a soap opera with a big budget.
Yeah,
that's what you've got now. That's not an epic story. That's just a recycling and a rehashing of the same ideas in different formats again and again. That's what you've got now.
Milking. That's the problem.
Yes.
Yeah, but now they're trying to apply that soap opera formula with loads of money to Lord of the Rings. They're trying to make that into like your trashy, just ongoing series that continues and continues and continues.
Oh,
they made a whore out of so many IPs, and they're trying to do it to Lord of the Rings. We're like, stop it, get away from it.
Have you no soul, no shame?
What they're doing to Lord of the Rings is just tip of the iceberg. What I told you in my last video, tip of the fucking iceberg. Trust me.